Skip this game, or you'll be stuck as an interdimensional mechanic for the rest of your life. Pacific Rim, Pacific Rim? Pacific Drive, even, is a game where you do that. You drive. The whole point of the game is to progressively get through the story as you drive your magical car through this warp thing, through a story that's convoluted and pointless because it doesn't feel engaging. Now, obviously, engagement is based on personal preference and perspective, but as someone who's played video games for a very long time, nothing drew me to keep playing, aside from the platinum. The story didn't interest me enough. The mechanics felt, at times, pointless. I was left wondering why I cared, or why they chose certain directions that they chose. When destroying objects or removing parts from other cars to build your own, I felt like it was more a hassle than it was, a joyful feeling of finding a new part for my car. Nothing felt rewarding. That's not to take away from the fact that a lot of the things in the game were really enjoyable at the start. For the first hour or two, it was interesting. I felt like I was actually doing something that mattered. It was like a phone game. You start playing it, and right off the bat, you get rewards and you see changes, and then at a certain point, it starts begging for more effort than what you're getting in return. And that's what this game felt like. It felt like at the start, it gave you things that made it feel like you were rewarded fairly. But by the end of it, you were just doing things because you were supposed to do them. The trophies for the platinum didn't feel like you were finally upgrading the last bit of your base where, you know, you'd achieved something. It was just, oh, better smash this out because that's what I'm supposed to do. Had it not been for the fact that I collect platinums, I would not have continued playing the game. The core mechanics of the game are simple. You have a car, you upgrade the car via parts that you find in the world. You have a scrapper, which you can then obviously upgrade to a different version of a scrapper, so that you go and you destroy other cars, and then you take those parts, bring them home, and then you upgrade your car. You find these parts through this map that you can see now, where you'll set your path up. It starts off super small, and through the story it expands to as far as it is now, and you'll get more places you can go through. Some places leading to a dead end, some places not. The dead ends feel pointless. The directions you're forced to go don't feel rewarding. It's not as in depth as you'd want it to be. You're going to all these different locations for no real reason. Like you have 14 different areas in the first layer, and no real reason to pick any of those directions. You're not more likely to find something if you go up rather than if you go left. It's still the same chances. It constantly just forces you to want to go, or need even, to go forward, towards the end. And that takes away from the whole point of going to these places. If they'd added some sort of, in the map, a major checkpoints, like this is a landmark city, or here is the church of whatever, one being on the far left, the other one being at the top, and in each layer having these major landmarks as a reason to go to these places. Obviously, you'd need to change more mechanics, but it would have added something worthwhile, a reason to go up there. Going towards the church direction, you're more likely to find certain things. If instead of going for there's a computer at the base, and that's how you learn things, that had you learn things via finding special cars or going to certain locations where, like in a church, you'll have more books, and those books will tell you about, you know, an ancient deity, and this deity had the power to harness lightning through some other form of medium, and that's how you then formed a ionic plating that prevented aliens grabbing the vehicle, or something like that, something where it gave you a purpose to go there. But instead, it's just pointless driving. Like, the whole point of the game is driving, and that's all good and fine, but with a video game, you need a purpose. Except for that one game where you just have ducks, and you just watch these rubber ducks do nothing, really. The entire game, you just do nothing. This game isn't one of those. It's meant to have a purpose. It's just its purpose seems to have fallen short of where it was supposed to be. Things I think that could have made this game better is if you had a co-op feature. If instead of taking a scrapper into each area, you and a co-op partner went into each area and you had to fill your car up, kind of like Tarkov. You had to maintain space. You collected these things like, radios or TVs or, whatever material you need, and you had to pack them in your car. Then you take it home and you scrap it at home, and then you maintain whether or not, well, not maintain, but decide whether or not you want to use that on certain things. That's one thing I think could have made this game more engaging and fun in the longer run. But it's not to say, like, if you were to sit there and play this for, a couple of hours, I'm sure you could have fun. I'm sure you could find something worth doing. It's more in the perspective of the long run. What is the point? Where is the enjoyment? Is there a replay value? And I just don't think there is. If it was not for the platinum, I wouldn't have kept playing the game. There is no real replay value. You can play the game again after you've finished it, but there's no real reason to do it aside from the platinum. With other games like, say Elden Ring, you can go and replay things because you can better yourself at them. There's something to achieve. With this, it's more, you sit down and play it for a couple of hours, then you stop and delete it and then move on. There's something else to do in your life. There's nothing that draws you back into it. In the end, this game wasn't for me. It didn't do it for me. The story didn't matter enough that I paid attention to it. The mechanics bored me quite quickly, to the point where it took me days and days to just jump back on the game again. Multiple times I turned the game on and I was like, yeah, just not interested. If you're in for platinums, if that's why you play video games, this platinum isn't super hard. There's even an easier mode you can go for the platinum on. But aside from that, its replay value isn't super high. Its enjoyment is fleeting. So I guess in the same concept, if you're into games not for the platinum and not to finish them, and you're just looking for something to do for a couple of hours, this could be exactly what you need. You jump on, you drive around, you upgrade your car a little bit, and then you go do something that you find more important. If you made it this far, and for some ungodly reason the sound of my voice doesn't prickle the insides of your ears, and you want to hear more of my self-obsessed takes on why I think things are worth playing or not worth playing, leave a comment. I'll review something else. I will let you know what I think of your favorite game and how dogshit, great it probably is. So I'm meant to do a controversial take or some sort of battle for at the end of each of the videos, each review, both anime and video games. But I don't know what sort of take I could have on a game like this. This car's more reliable than Bumblebee? Well, that's not true. Don't think there's anything you could really debate. My debate is that there's nothing about this game interesting enough to have a debate about. Damn, that's really disappointing, actually.